Okay, I'm here today with Craig Cavileer. He's the Executive Vice President and Managing Partner at Majestic Realty based out of Los Angeles. How are you today, Craig?
Good. Thank you. Good to talk to you.
You as well. And thank you very much for making time. I am excited to speak to you because, Majestic Realty is out of Los Angeles, but you have some really exciting projects going on right now. Obviously, and for our listeners out there, you've got the Silverton Casino Hotel in Las Vegas, and then the stockyards that are going on in Fort Worth, which I was surprised to hear is a massive attraction that has been doing fairly well. So I'd love it if you could take just a minute and walk us through those two businesses and kind of give us an overview of what they look like.
Sure. Thanks. So there's really two footprints. Based out of Los Angeles, where our corporate offices are, we're a large privately held owned real estate company. We're the largest privately owned real estate company in the United States. Actually, we have about 100 million feet of buildings around the country, which gives me perspective and kind of a view on what's happening around the country in terms of our big industrial platform. Industrial meaning Amazon warehouses and Walmart and all the distribution, all the stuff that's sort of been in vogue to talk about, that sort of brought something that most of us don't talk about: supply chain and product distribution and trucking. Now everybody's an expert on that. But 2 years pre-pandemic, it was a quiet part of a big part of the real estate world that we've operated in for 75 years. And I am also tied to that business as well. But what I really love to do is spend my time on our hospitality platform. And that, for me, includes our casino, gaming, hotel, and retail in Las Vegas. And so that one really comprises, we're just south of Mandalay Bay on I-15 there, Silverton Casino. We had the idea years ago to really compete within the 80 casinos that are in Las Vegas, all chasing a $10 to $15 billion of tourism revenue and local gaming revenue and entertainment. And we did something unique when we brought Bass Pro Shops to Las Vegas. At that time, I think it was their sixth store. This is in 2005. Of course, now they own Cabela's. They have 160 stores or 170 stores. But what we did there is we brought an engine for the casino and for the rest of the footprint there, with our 7 restaurants and 5 bars, our hotel. We have a timeshare product there that we're partners on. We have a Hyatt hotel there that we built a few years ago. So we have 1,000 rooms on the campus. We've got this 170,000 foot flagship Bass Pro store that generates millions of visits a year. We have our casino with about 1,800 slot machines, 30 tables, and its restaurants and bars, and live entertainment venue that generates 5,000 customers a day. And then we have retail as well, small retail kind of lifestyle component next to that as well. We have 100 acres total. And so, it's a $800 million to $1 billion kind of operation, kind of enterprise. And so that gives us a pretty good view. And included in that view was having to close for 12 weeks during the pandemic, which Las Vegas has never done. Everybody closed. So that gives me kind of anchor number one for conversation, if you want to dive into that. And by the way, the post-pandemic recovery for tourism, visitation, the locals, we have 2 million people that live there, and gaming and locals, casinos, if you will, off the strip, have been the first to recover, a massive recovery in that, and to the point where we're 30% above our best years ever. And it's not just us, it's everybody that's done a good job of responding. And that's without the buffet open. Buffets, we're such a driver. We're doing 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 covers a day through the buffet, and it's been closed for 2 years, and most of us are wondering if we ever open them again. We don't know. It's been literally just sitting over there with TBD on it. Come back soon. In Fort Worth, we got a really unique project that we got engaged in the historic district. The Fort Worth Stockyards is a National Historic District, really in the core of Fort Worth. We're just a couple of minutes to the north of downtown. And this whole place was kind of came together in 1897 to the early 1900s, primarily as exactly what they were. They were stockyards. It was cattle and beef. It was pigs. It was sheep. It was everything in the world that could be processed. And the Swift and Armor plants here were the big meat processing plants. And why this existed is there was rail through here that would get to Kansas City and then all the way to New York. And so all the beef industry used this as a place to land their beef and other animals. They would get processed, go into refrigerated box cars, and then go feed the East Coast. And that worked until the 60s. In the 60s, we now had highways with refrigerated trucks. And so you didn't need all these big stockyards. And so what was left here is this really cool historical buildings that were empty and sat, basically a lot of them sat empty for 60 years. And we came in 2014 and 15 and partnered with the local landowner who had acquired 70 of the 200 acres. And by the way, even as it was sort of falling apart, there were 2.5 million visitors a year that came here to see just a glimpse of what things were with the Old West and the Chisholm Trail and so forth. So long story short, we've spent about 5 years down here doing a lot of economic development, rehabilitation of buildings. We built a new 4-star autograph collection hotel, opened a year ago last week. We've invested about 250 million. We've got another 500, 600 million to go on the rest of our property. And the finish that, we had about 2.5 to 3 million visitors a year pre-COVID. During COVID, we kept that trajectory. People kept coming. And the last 12 months, and this is based on cell phone technology that we track every day, 6.1 million visitors in the last 12 months to the Fort Worth Stockyards. So a lot to talk about there, but there's the platform you asked me to describe.
Absolutely. That's incredible. So you've got a very macro view of, seeing the trends at a volume level, which is absolutely incredible. Over 6 million people at the stockyards. That's incredible. So my question for you is, you are seeing economic recovery and obviously boom as well in Vegas, in Fort Worth. Are you seeing any trends that are emerging post-COVID that maybe weren't there pre-COVID that you're able to capitalize on?
I think this is not unique to in Vegas. We're not unique in Vegas that we're experiencing all that success. We had, Californians responded immediately by driving over. Remember, about 40% of the tourism in Las Vegas are Californians, and so they didn't have to get on planes. They immediately responded. Now, the meetings, corporate group, convention, very slow to recover. This year, it's coming back, and it looks really good for 2023 and 24. That really, the guys on the strip with 200,000, 300,000 feet of meeting space, that has been slow to recover. And that's also true in hospitality. If you own a big box, 1,500 room convention center hotel, you're not out of it yet. You're still moving along. But we don't have those big meeting spaces. We have experience hotels and casino with rooms, but we don't have 2,000 of them, right? And in Fort Worth, just kind of going the other direction, we have this autograph collection. We just opened a Hotel Drover and we've had incredible success with. And yes, we have meeting space, but because we have 8.5 million people in the DFW market, what we really had was pent up demand from the social. We had groups and social that just hadn't convened. We're not a convention center hotel per se, but we get a ton. And the weddings were incredible. The backup of weddings for a couple of years. And so the district, our historic district, has seen a lot of that. The trend primarily, and this is again not exclusive to us, I think it's true anywhere that people can be outdoors. There's a lot of moving around physically, getting out. Great pool scenes, great food. People sat at home for a year and a half and didn't get to go to restaurants. And it gave us all a chance to retool and build better restaurant programming, probably learn how to do better service and with less. And I don't even think it's a trend. People are it's just on. It's 100% on. This is for all restaurateurs and all entertainment driven areas. What we don't know is we know it's not going to, this trajectory is impossible to keep. There's a lot of pent up disposable income, a lot of savings. They weren't on cruise ships. They weren't going to movies. And so now they're out overindulging, and we'll take that as an industry. I think the real good ones out there, the ones that are going to thrive into 2023 and 24, is being able to predict where stabilization is, what sort of a normal is. None of us know. Think of the global, paradox we're in right now, or paradigm that we're in, and not assuming that this is the new world order. I don't think that this level of enthusiasm in retail spend, and I see it with all of our partner retailers, these national brands, it just cannot continue as a percentage of disposable income. But they're not going away. They're here. They're feeling it, and I think we can take advantage of that for a while. But we need to train ourselves on great service, great delivery systems, beautiful experiences and memories, so that we can keep them coming back. Because this could just be a little pop, and then you do this.
So, I mean, and you're 100% right, right? Like, I mean, the balloon's not going to rise forever, right? Eventually it's going to level off, and eventually it's going to come to what everybody terms as a new normal, right? So let me ask you, you're very into development and into the real estate and the asset management side of things. How are you making your decisions right now when it comes to being able to add to your locations, being able to add to your businesses? Are there trends that you're looking at that say, now's the time to go, now's the time to go, maybe we should hold up? How are you making these decisions?
There was an article in the journal the other day, and the headline was something to the effect of, now is no time to panic. And I've been through several of these in different ways, whether it was 9/11 or the .com and 2000 and gosh, '08, that didn't last just a year. That lasted a long time, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. None of us predicted that. That came like a hurricane, and just as a pandemic did. And then we thought, finally, the pandemic's over, and now we have worldwide problems. And we also have domestic problems. And we have this incredible inflation, and we have increase in wages. And none of us were talking about that last year. We were just like, when are we going to take the masks off? And we didn't say, well, when we take the mask off, we're going to have all these new set of problems. Trying to predict the future, whether you're in gaming, hospitality, or supply chain, or logistics, or building buildings, which is what we're doing. Gosh, it's hard. We had rigorous debate this morning. I was sitting right here on Zoom with all of our leadership, and we've got a bunch of projects that are ready to go. We started working on them a year and a half, or even 2 years ago. Luxury multifamily project here in Fort Worth, or in the Stockyards, another one in Las Vegas, a casino in Pahrump with Marriott hotel that we're building, a couple of big industrial buildings, 1 million square feet. It's empty. We don't know who's going to occupy it. We can't count. Now you look and go, think about the Amazon pullback. We're building buildings for Amazon, and now Amazon's saying, yeah, we're going to pay the rent, but we're not going to move in for 5 years. I mean, they've gone and said, we hired too many people and we asked for too many buildings. We thought they were genius, and look how they missed the predictive analytics piece of it. So I think, to answer your question, a lot of debate about going, what is the past? We look at absorption if we're building buildings. We look at lease-up rates if we're talking about luxury multifamily. The cost of building today for us is 30 and 35 and 40% higher than it was just 18 months ago or a year ago. Industrial buildings that used to get built for $40 a foot are now costing $80 a foot and $90 plus all in. Interest rates, look what's happened to that in the last 100 days. We used to borrow at 2.6%. Now, you're at 3.8 and 4, and perm financing, it's all changed so dramatically. I guess the answer to your question is we are very cautious at the moment. We have a lot of stuff. We have over $1 billion of new development ready to go, literally ready to go. And coin another little phrase that Warren Buffett said, we're all living in this one big casino here, making bets on the future. And I think now is a pretty good time to just be ready and maybe very strategic and very carefully, depending on where you are in the competitive environment, regionally, locally, you move forward. And the other ones, you're ready to move forward. But gosh, it's only been 70 days in Ukraine, and we'll know more in 70 days. It's only been an hour or two since we got 50 bips on Fed rate. Let's see what that really means. I didn't even look at the market today. I'm purposely not looking. I will not be controlled by the stock market and what everybody else is betting on. So careful, cautious, deliberate. And meanwhile, I'm going to have 150,000 people here in the stockyards in the next 72 hours. I've got to entertain. They don't care about all that other stuff, apparently, because here they come. They're roaring in. And we have to attend to business that way. So it's day by day, and then try to predict what the next 30 and 60 days looks like.
Okay, that's outstanding. So you mentioned that you were on a call with your leadership team earlier today. So what kind of a message are you giving to them when you're talking about capitalizing on the influx now and like you mentioned, delivering service? What are you telling your leaders right now to help them try to really maximize all of what's coming in right now?
Well, for us, there's part of it's data. All these new customers, whether at the casino, we've had that thing for 25 years, and there's a lot. We get a lot of loyalty cards plugged in. 72% of everybody that plays in the casino has a loyalty club card. That's the good news. But there's 28 to 30%. We don't know who they are, and I don't know if they're ever coming back. But they contributed towards that 30%. They're above pre-pandemic levels, and So we've got to be deliberate. And here in the stockyard, it's very deliberate because we don't have loyalty club. We don't have a slot machine down there to track play. We track cell phone data. I know every cell phone that comes into the district, but it doesn't give me a way to contact them. So there's two things on my mind. One is data, data, data. We've got to grab it while they're here. So we have all these bees flying around. We need to grab that data. We need to communicate, because what's going to get it, what's really the profit here is 23, 24, and 25 is return visitation. And I can tell you that we're one of the top performing autograph collection hotels in the world out of 180 of them. But that's only for this year. The bad news about a hotel is it's a series of one-night contracts. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what's going to happen next year. What I do know is 65% of the people there are Bonvoy members. And if I don't keep them happy, they get a lot of other hotels. There's 2 other Marriott hotels right here in the district. It doesn't have to be Hotel Drover. It could be Spring Hill or Courtyard, or there's another autograph downtown at Sinclair, and Crescent's building a beautiful hotel downtown. So data and loyalty. How do you build loyalty? Great customer service, proper pricing, proper value, great memories, not just an Instagram beautiful picture, but what they really took away from their visit to the district or to our Hyatt place here that we own, or our other hotel. We just bought a new hotel. We bought a historic hotel, the Stockyards Hotel here on Exchange Avenue, 120-year-old building that we're going to reposition. And what does that mean? So understanding your customer and trying to overindulge in service and memories, and then hopefully they'll show up again next year.
All right. That's outstanding. So I'm a data guy myself, right? So everybody has their favorite numbers that they look at on a regular basis. What are a couple of the numbers that you're looking at on a regular basis, to try to judge your success in your business?
Well, any one particular, whether it's our Stetson store we have here on Exchange Avenue, or it's the Hotel Drover, or the casino, or one of the Hyatts, or anything else, we do have KPIs. How are we doing on a trailing? I look at trailing 12 a lot, because that's where the trends are. I love year over year. I don't really care about the budget, frankly, because the budget we made up last October, what is that? Did it predict 50 bips on Fed rate? No, it did not. And so what I really look at is, how are we doing on a year over year? How are we doing on a trailing 12? How are we adjusting to what we're getting right now? Because we don't really control. Think of all the things we don't control when you're in hospitality and entertainment. You just don't know. I mean, what are the 6 million? What's in those 6 million brains that are deciding to come to the Fort Worth Stockyards? So I look at that. I also look at unique visitation. So unique visits. If I had 6 million uniques coming through here this year, my God, how am I going to find those 6 million and get them to come one more time? What I really like is when we're enhancing our unique visitation. So the gross is good, but what I really like are unique visits on a repeat basis, because that's the loyalty. And I learned that in the gaming business, that you can have 6 million customers, but you have to start every year with a new 6 million, you're going broke. So hence 72% of our customers are loyalty club card members. Now, how am I rewarding them? What's my reinvestment rate back in them? Because the guy across the street, those other 79 of the casinos only have one job, and that's to take my customers away from me. And my only job is to try to get there. I could just, hey, get my fair share, I'll be fine. But I'm not a fair share entrepreneur. I'm trying to get better than my fair share. I can't dominate, but because I'm only 1 out of 80. But I think if we can get the customers coming back, and then through these things, they'll tell their friends, hey, look where I'm at. Then you start kind of creating this flywheel that goes around and around and around. So data, loyalty, and loyalty comes through great service. And sounds easy. Gosh, you could write the book. Trying to execute that is really hard every day. Ask Howard Schultz. Look at Starbucks. What are they doing? Having to reinvent themselves again. We own 2 Starbucks. I'm proud to say we're the only owner of a drive-through Starbucks privately owned in the world. The only one. Yeah, and you'd think, well, that should be easy. It should be a slot machine. No, there's still service issues. There's competitive. There's a lot of other coffee shops, including other Starbucks around me. I've got to be able to get them through the lines and get them out of that drive-through. And there's every business, has a challenge, even if you're Howard Schultz and Starbucks.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, that's phenomenal insights. And I know that people who are listening to the show are always trying to figure out, how do we gauge how we're winning? How do we continue to try to push the envelope? What should we be looking at? So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here, one of the things I always like to do is try to end with looking ahead at the future and the talent we're trying to develop, right? So where you are right now, do you have any piece of advice that you like to give new leaders that are joining your organization as they kind of embark on this world of hospitality?
Yeah, I would say, especially in hospitality, food, beverage, entertainment, whether it's live music or concerts, if you want to be in the concert side, or a combination of that with experiential restaurants that have a live music component, whether you're in the select service hotel space, boutique, if you have 20 rooms in boutique, or you're 100 rooms in select, or 1,000 rooms, if you end up at 4,000 rooms or 5,000, wherever you end up. I think from young aspiring leaders, and it took me a long time to learn this, and now I'm fully accepted, but the challenge is finding the right people. Hiring really, really not fully seasoned, but very seasoned people who've been and moved around a bit geographically, that haven't been siloed in the world, that have had exposure to these different hospitality areas. Because you're looking for someone with some insight, you're looking for some vision. You have to find someone that's really operationally sound, doesn't tell you what they did, but can demonstrate what they did when you're interviewing them. Tell me how you did that. Okay, so you opened the Hotel Drover in Stockyards, and Forbes says it's one of the top 50 hotels in the world. What was your role in that? And tell me exactly what you did. And tell me, really go deep, not an hour interview, but a couple hour interview, and find people that really know how to build businesses. Because the entrepreneur like me, I don't want to really run it day to day. I want amazing people to run it every day, but I have to find people that can help me build the business, because I can't do it alone. I can do it one at a time alone, but one at a time, that's only like 5 of them in your lifetime, right? I want to do 105 in my lifetime. And as Richard Branson said, I had an occasion to visit with him recently, and he's built 300 businesses. One guy, 300 different businesses that he's currently operating. And I asked him, I said, how involved are you in the day-to-day operations? He said, how could I? Not very much. And I said, well, gosh, you've done 300 businesses. What's left for you? And he grinned and he said, everything. So what's his secret? He said, I hire really great people and let them do great things for me. And would it be exactly the way I, Richard Branson, would do it? No, but he goes, it's very good and good enough. And if you want to scale, you got to hire amazing people and let them be amazing for you.
Wow. Well, that's phenomenal advice, Craig. So thank you very much for that. As we wrap up here and as we're getting ready to close, if people are interested in finding out more about the projects that you're working on, or either of these businesses we've discussed today, where should they go to look into some of this?
I think if you're just curious, you can go to the Majestic website, majesticrealty.com, and it'll lead you to these different projects and different contact points within there. I've got about, 1,800 team members working for us. So if somebody's curious about something, I can direct them in one of the right places and let them be curious that way. And we're always hiring amazing people. So that too.
Awesome. Well, Craig, thank you very much for your time today, and look forward to hopefully connecting with you again in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.